Have you ever wondered what would happen if Yuji Itadori was given a second chance? What if, after everything, every fight, every loss, and every person he failed to save, Yuji Itadori woke up again? Not as himself, not in his own body, but as Satoru Gojo, with every memory still intact and the most powerful eyes in history, looking out at a world he already knew how it ended. How would things change? How much could one person rewrite if they already knew every page of the story? And what does it cost to carry that much knowledge alone? Let's find out. Our story begins on the night of Gojo's birth, and with a powerful cry, everyone fells it. The balance of the world has just shifted. All because of this child born with white hair and eyes that seem to pulse even before they open. The doctor turns to the mother, hands still shaking, and asks for a name, and she replies, Gojo. And behind the 6 eyes, something wakes up. It comes back in pieces at first. A grandfather's voice telling him to die surrounded by people. Megumi's face, Nobara's laugh. It all comes back at once into the mind of a newborn who is not supposed to remember anything at all. Yuji opens his eyes for the first time in his new life and understands it. He was reborn as Satoru Gojo now, and he remembers everything. Years pass and Yuji begins to show levels of jujutsu that no child his age should have. By the age of 5, he had already mastered Cursed Energy Reinforcement, the base applications of Infinity, and is now trying to manifest Blue. With constant mumbling on how exhausting it is to have the 6 eyes, Yuji had lived for 300 years. He had perfected his use of Cursed Energy. He had mastered the Sparks of Black. But now, with the extra perception of the 6 eyes, things that had become a second nature are now completely different to use. Speaking of changing timelines and second chances, age of 10, Yuji has already surpassed any sorcerer in terms of cursed energy usage. He has fully mastered Blue and automated Infinity. And everyone knew that, but what the jujutsu world didn't know was that at night, alone in the woods, Yuji had mastered the reversal of his technique by using his knowledge on reverse curse technique. And just like Gojo, he used it to continue to refresh his brain. He knows how Toji will try to kill him, but now he is prepared. More years pass under the gaze of the clan that calls him their prodigy weapon. Yuji eventually has enough and demands to enroll in Jujutsu High. And once he arrives, he is introduced to his classmates, Geto and Shoko, with who he trains for the following years, until the Star Plasma Vessel mission arrives. The parameters are clear. Escort Amanai to the merger with Tengen and neutralize any threats, and Yuji knows exactly who the threat is. Toji Fushiguro, the Sorcerer Killer, a body built around the complete absence of cursed energy, which means the 6 eyes have no way to detect him. This man has made a career out of killing people who thought their power was enough. The original Gojo fought him twice and nearly didn't survive the first encounter. But this time, Yuji knows what will happen, plus he has tons of experience from training with Maki in his past life. He knows that Toji will try to exhaust him like he did with Gojo. So for now, Yuji only needs to play along with his game. And just as expected, things go as Yuji predicted they would. They defeat every assassin that comes their way. And then upon entering the grounds protected by Tengen's barrier, Toji tries to sneak behind Yuji once he lets his guard down, but is stopped by his Infinity. Yuji smiles when he sees Toji's confused face. Toji tries to back away, but Yuji immediately pulls him with a blue, while telling Geto to take Amanai to safety. With no one else around, Yuji can finally go all out. Toji launches at him with the inverted sphere in hand, but Yuji dodges him and hits him back with a blue-boosted punch that sends Toji flying. Then he teleports to his side and complains that this punch should have been a black flash and that Gojo was right when he said that the 6 eyes make it harder to do. Toji doesn't understand anything. In his eyes, Yuji is talking about himself in the third person. Once again, he grabs the sphere, attaching it to the chain, but Yuji is faster and blasts him with a red. Toji, at the doors of death, goes berserk and Yuji smiles. I have always wanted to use this, and as soon as he says this, words of purple cuts through Toji's existence. The mission comes to an end. Amanai is alive. She refuses to merge with Tengen, and Yuji doesn't argue with her. He has seen enough people lose the right to decide what happened to their own existence. He is not going to be the person who takes it from someone else. With Amanai's death avoided, Yuji believes that Geto won't fall into the darkness. He still does what he can. He stays close to him. Asks questions he already knows the answers to because he wants to hear Geto say them out loud. He shifts missions when he can manage it. And makes sure Geto is not standing alone in front of the worst of what the jujutsu world has to show him. But it is not enough. Geto's breaking point is not a single event. It is everything accumulated, every sorcerer who died doing the right thing for a world that would never know their name, for a world of monkeys that was the cause of every single sorcerer's death. Soon he begins to dream of a world where only sorcerers exist, a world without curses. When the moment comes, they face each other and Gojo has already prepared for the argument. He knows the counterpoints. He has been waiting for them. And then he pops the question, are you the strongest because you are Yuji Gojo? Or are you Yuji Gojo because you are the strongest? Upon hearing those words, Yuji prepares to kill Gojo. But this time, he isn't just a name he was told about. He was his best friend. Just like Gojo, Yuji let him go that day. Years pass, and everything moves according to the main timeline. Now Yuta Okatsu arrives at Jujutsu High. The school reorganizes his presence. The cursed energy he carries is enormous and completely uncontrolled. Yuta learns what he can do with his power, and then finds his place among people who had no reason to trust him when he arrived. The parade of 1,000 curses still happens like before, and at the end, Yuta still delivers the blow that ends Geto's life. But this time, when the dust settles, Yuji goes to dispose of Geto's body. He stands there for a long time, thinking about the right he does or does not have to make this choice, but he still does it. Without Geto's body, Kenjaku will be unable to control Mahito's power, or so he thought. With Geto's body unavailable, Yuta became the solution. Once Yuta is sent to Africa, Kenjaku makes his move and kills the boy. After taking his body, he makes a binding vow, copying Geto's technique from Yuta's memories. Yuji, like his sensei, raised Megumi, training him harder than the original Gojo had, resisting the instinct to soften the difficulty because he knew what Megumi was capable of when stakes were real and no one was quietly managing the outcome from behind the scenes. He found Itadori, his original body, walking around in a world that had no idea what it was carrying, with no memory of the life that Yuji now remembered for both of them. He watched him for a moment before finally approaching him. He brought Itadori to Jujutsu High, and he told them plainly that this was the perfect vessel for Sukuna. The three students trained together. The missions were more manageable than they had been before, but some things did not change simply because you had seen them coming. Itadori made the deal with Sukuna when the moment required it. But this time, he kills Mahito before he can get any stronger, and that should have been it. Kenjaku's plan had completely fallen apart. But on the 31st night of October, a barrier was set over Shibuya. Yuji quickly exterminated every curse there and walked straight into Kenjaku's trap. Before his eyes stood Yuta. Yuji realized his mistake, but then told Kenjaku that his plan was useless now that he had killed Mahito. Kenjaku smiles. And what makes you think that I didn't copy his technique? Yuji prepares to kill Kenjaku, but it is too late. The prison realm had been activated, and the culling games had begun. His students immediately searched for a way to free him, and Tengen gave them 3 options: the black rope, the inverted spear of heaven, or the player named Angel. And although in the original timeline Angel was their only option, this time both Itadori and Megumi were given the cursed tools. And when the time was right, they found Yuji's location and set him free. Yuji came out of the prison realm and moved through the culling game colonies, killing every reincarnated sorcerer, curse, and every obstacle Kenjaku had seeded into the landscape. While Yuji was away, Megumi and Itadori were ambushed by Kenjaku. He fed the remaining fingers to Itadori, and then Sukuna said the word, "in chain." And in a second, he takes over Megumi's body. Yuji arrived and looked at the face that was wearing his friend and felt, very briefly, every version of what he had carried across 2 lives rising toward the surface at once. He held it, he let it settle. He told Sukuna he wanted 3 days, that he wanted the King of Curses at full strength, fully recovered, holding nothing back, that he intended to win this cleanly or not at all. Sukuna had studied him for a long time. "You have already decided how this ends," Sukuna said. "I have decided what I'm fighting for," Yuji replied. "That is not the same thing. The fight that followed was the greatest in the history of the Jujutsu world, and almost no one alive was there to witness it." Sukuna opened Malevolent Shrine within the first minute. The landscape disassembled itself, dismantles and cleaves running in every direction across a range that would have ended any other sorcerer before they had time to understand what was happening. But Yuji was ready for that. He had opened his domain as well, and with his experience in the prison realm, he finally understood how Gojo changed the barrier conditions. He applies the same tactic, but it isn't enough. His domain breaks for the first time. Both sorcerers keep clashing their domains after that. One time after the other, Yuji begins to damage Sukuna enough so his domain collapses as well, and then it finally happens. Unlimited Void's sure hit connects between the barrier of both souls. Sukuna understands that Yuji can perceive his soul, but before he can take action, his brain has fried and he is unable to move. But just like the last time, Mahoraga comes out to protect Sukuna. However, this time he is immediately destroyed by Yuji's purple. Yuji smiles. Is this all the King of Curses can do? Sukuna becomes furious by his words, yet he smiles. After all these years, he finally found a sorcerer capable of reviling his power. He transforms into his perfect body. Then Yuji says, "Heal your wounds, Gramps, I have something to take care of." He then teleports away, finds Kenjaku and kills him immediately before returning to his fight with Sukuna. Once again, the two strongest sorcerers that ever existed face each other in a battle that will shape the Jujutsu world forever. They clash their domains again and again. Sukuna analyzes Yuji's techniques, and Yuji keeps pushing the King of Curses to his limit, and that is when he understands. This time, without Mahoraga, Sukuna performs the world-cutting slash. It catches Yuji off guard, but he is able to dodge it on the last second. They then trade blows, black flash after black flash. Sukuna keeps trying to slice Yuji, but Yuji plays defensively. Due to the black flashes, they recover their domains, and they are ready to begin another clash. But this time, something shifts. Yuji's domain comes out without a barrier. The sure hit connects with Sukuna on the soul level, removing him from Megumi's body. Sukuna vanishes into dust. And in the end, Yuji Gojo stands in the quiet of a world that still has most of its problems. The Jujutsu world is still broken in the ways that are still to be fixed, in ways that one person's strength, no matter how extraordinary, was never going to be enough to fix entirely. The higher-ups are still the higher-ups. The machinery of it all still turns the way it always turned. He knows this. He knew it going in, and he did not come back to fix the machinery. He came back for something more specific than that. Itadori, Megumi, Nobara, and everyone dear to him is alive, with the exception of Geto and Yuta. Yuji will forever blame himself for how everything turned out. But at least this time, Yuji is not alone. This time Yuji will die surrounded by all the ones most dear to him. This may not be the perfect ending for everyone, but it sure is perfect for Yuji Gojo, the strongest sorcerer the Jujutsu world has seen.